I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. It is Tuesday, July 5th, and this is our Westchester Weekly Update. We're delayed one day because of the July 4th holidays, but we are now, I think officially, we all agree, in the middle of the summer from this point through Labor Day. I'm joined today for this update with Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. We will give you an update on some of the key issues, things that have happened recently within the county government, and some of the things to look forward to over the next few days. We hope it'll be interesting. We want to highlight, first of all, what we think is important about some of the project work that we are doing, and you're going to see a lot more of it happening during the summertime because this is an ideal time for construction projects. And some of the ones that we're working on are invisible, things that are happening outside of the line of sight in underground settings, inside sewer treatment plants. But some of them are very prominent in the way they're displayed. And I do want to just walk through some of the things that we have over the 4.5 years of the administration we've been able to tackle. When we began this administration 4.5 years ago, the Sprain Ridge pools were dry and they were empty. There's a tree growing out of one of them. The Miller House, Washington headquarters in North Castle, was on the verge of collapse with a blue tarp thrown over the roof. The North County Trailway and the South County Trailway were tort actions waiting to happen. They had irregular paths in certain places and broken paths, and a person bicycling or even walking might have tripped and had themselves a nice lawsuit. The need for a new New Rochelle Family Court was just a pipe dream. It was a 6.5-year project that was being kicked around with no sufficient progress. The gun show was featured at the county center, but the high school basketball and Section 1 finals were not featured at the county center at that time. Our bond rating was being downgraded. The workforce was being slashed indiscriminately, and they were demoralized. Union contracts for a number of our major unions were long overdue. We were facing the privatization of the Westchester County Airport, and we didn't know it, but a global pandemic was just around the corner. And Memorial Field in Mount Vernon was a decade-old pile of dirt and debris. There was a commitment made in 2007, 2008, that Memorial Field would be part of a legacy grant program by then County Executive Andrew Spano, negotiated with then Mount Vernon Mayor Clinton Young, who's a former county legislator, that would put county money in the restoration of Memorial Field, which had seen difficult days come upon them in the late aughts. And this is a program that was done countywide in many other locations, in Flint Park and Larchmont, in Columbus Park and Portchester, in a host of other different settings where fields were either renovated or added with county resources as part of an arrangement by which other public assets were transferred from the municipality to the county, or affordable housing was built. This long program that was established for legacy program included a Memorial Field renovation project, and that was as of the late aughts. And now, 12 years later, 13, 14 years later, that pile of debris is changing. We have persevered, and we have persevered together. Hopefully you're seeing examples of the progress that we made at Memorial Field in Mount Vernon. You'll see our ticket booth with the Memorial Field sign in the ticket booth, which is original. You'll see new grandstands, a locker room, and we'll be adding additional benches there. There is a skate park in this new facility and a modern scoreboard. As we look at the Memorial Field project in Mount Vernon along Sanford Boulevard, right next to the Hutchinson River Parkway, right across a short span from Pelham and not very far from the borderline of the city of New Rochelle, you'll see a Memorial Field sign at the entry plaza is expected to be installed by the end of this week, perhaps by next week. The paving is going to start on July 5th. That's today, and track paving will start later this week. The turf installation work will begin in 2 weeks' time. It'll take about 10 days to fully install a turf system, and the entry plaza stamped concrete work will start sometime next week before the end of the week. This is the completion, and we're in the final days of it. It'll take another month or so, maybe slightly more than that, until everything is worked out. But this is the completion of the commitment to improve Memorial Field in Mount Vernon in the same way that we made a commitment on the New Rochelle Family Court, we made a commitment on the Miller House, we made a commitment on the Sprain Ridge pools, and all of these different capital projects that are being done represent assets that are owned by the County of Westchester or that the County of Westchester is a partner in, that are being brought back to usable, workable status that we can look and be proud of. And there was a weekend, we'll talk about this in a second, in which the county's recreation facilities were on full display and full use by a group of us, now citizens of this county, who are trying to work through what we hope is a post-COVID era where we can start to interact with each other in person more frequently. There's another major project that's just been completed, and that is the repavement, the reconstruction and repavement of Mamaroneck Avenue. Now, Mamaroneck Avenue is a street that begins in downtown White Plains, where Main Street crosses it in the heart of White Plains. Renaissance Plaza is there, and its terminus is in the village of Mamaroneck, entering into Harbor Island Park. And large swaths of that street are owned by Westchester County as it goes through the city of White Plains, the town of Harrison, and the village of Mamaroneck, which falls within the town of Mamaroneck. And what you're watching here is that we have completed a massive repaving project that involves really benefit to hundreds, thousands of county commuters. This roadway connects is one of the interconnections between the Hutchinson River Parkway and the New England Thruway. It's commonly used by people that live either south or north of Mamaroneck Avenue to get from one of those roads to the other. The project has a cost of $11+ million. It repaves 5+ miles of roadway from Bryant Avenue in White Plains to Mount Pleasant Avenue in Mamaroneck, passing through those aforementioned municipality. The project also included replacement of curbs, traffic signal loops, bus stop improvements, and ADA sidewalk ramps. The area repaved also includes stretches of the road and curbing which were badly damaged during the remnants of Hurricane Ida just a little less than a year ago. This project began in August of 2021, substantially completed last month in June of 22. There are final touches that are expected in the coming weeks, and the road is open for use. But this has long been a sore point for those people who live or work in White Plains and live or work on the Sound Shore, Mamaroneck and nearby. It is a lifeline road, and the repaving of this road, very similar to the work done at Memorial Field, is an example of what government can do when it sets its mind to it, when it determines that results matter more than rhetoric, and that we're striving to accomplish things that people can see and touch and feel. These projects, which have been financed, have come at a time where we've been able to cut county property taxes and where we've been able to see a decrease in crime. So we're not trading off physical improvements for financial impacts. We've been able to find other revenue streams that offset it, so we don't need higher property taxes, and we can make these improvements. And as you see from the visual that's before you, you can certainly go out and drive Mamaroneck Avenue for yourself and see the improvements that have been made on it. This is only part of what our commitment has been overall. There are capital projects all across this county that have become important lifelines in those portions of the county where they exist. And we have a long list of things that are still underway. We intend to complete those projects, and we intend to complete them because that is the responsibility of this government, to do these things and to do this forthrightly and to do this appropriately. But it is a sign of accomplishment. It's a sign of tangible proof that we are working in the right direction on these things. Now, we've had to face something that doesn't lend itself to easy accomplishment, and that is dealing with the COVID outbreak and crisis. We are somewhere approaching our 2.5-year mark. That will come at the end of the summer. As we get into September, that'll be the 2.5-year mark since the first cases of COVID manifested itself. We are still in a position with COVID in the county where it is present. It is present with us to the tune, most recently, of over 3,000 active cases, 3,112 to be specific. That number is higher than it was a week ago when it was about 2,700 cases, but it's oscillated slightly above 3,000. It was up as high as 3,300 in the middle of the week. It's come down a little bit in terms of active cases. In hospitalizations, the last number that we have dates back a few days, 121 people hospitalized, compared a month prior to 130 people hospitalized. So it seems as if the percentage of people, which probably runs about 3%, 3.5% to 4% of all the people that come down with COVID, have to be hospitalized because of COVID. And those are the severe cases. And then finally, we've lost 20 people, fatalities in the month of June. That number is a significant number of families affected by life and death that COVID has represented in those families. As a number, it's well below the period of time of our peak infections, but it's still not at the zero numbers, which means COVID is still with us. So we're managing it by means of constant attention to vaccinations. That appears to be the biggest single factor that takes a person's vulnerability to getting COVID, but being healthy enough to fight it off and not wind up in the hospital or not wind up in a fatal situation. I think we understand that the people most vulnerable to COVID are those people of advanced age, those folks who have underlying health issues, and those people that do not vaccinate. That number is under 20% in Westchester County, probably closer to 12%. And we have a high number of vaccinations, if you count at least 3 vaccinations as a significant baseline. So I'm going to ask Ken to go over some of the other issues that relate to COVID vaccinations and cover those with us now. Ken Jenkins, Deputy County Executive.
Thank you. Thanks, George. And certainly to continue what the county executive was pointing out as far as COVID is concerned, we know that vaccinations were the thing that gave us the opportunity to be able to do all the great things that we're doing now and be able to get out in person and in public more often. For our folks, the free COVID-19 vaccines are available for children ages 6 months to 5 years old, and that's going to happen throughout the summer. We mentioned last week that we just started those things and made sure to require you and to encourage you to make appointments at those sites for the county health department, because the county health department is offering free Moderna COVID-19 vaccines by appointment for children 6 months to 5 years old on Fridays from 9 a.m. to noon at the county clinic in White Plains. That's at 134 Court Street. Last week, 109 children received their first COVID-19 vaccinations. The COVID-19 vaccinations are from Moderna. That requires a two-shot regimen that are 28 days apart. So certainly govern yourselves accordingly. And if we continue to think about this as the regular vaccinations, the MMR series, as us folks mostly know, measles, mumps, and rubella, which are required for you to go into school. So this is no different than that kind of vaccination. Take advantage of this opportunity now, remembering that there's a 2-shot regimen for those folks that are heading into school. For the 6-month-old, they're not really ready for that particular thing yet. However, if they're going to be in a child care facility, that might be a requirement of the child care facility that you're going on. So please take advantage of the free COVID-19 vaccinations. And contrary to popular belief, the young children can and do get COVID-19. And unfortunately, some of the folks our children end up to be very, very sick. So this is another opportunity to give the maximum protection that we can give for our youngest folks. And as the county executive pointed out, the people that are in the most vulnerable positions, certainly those that are of advanced age and have underlying health conditions, and certainly our young folks as they are getting their immunosystems started up. So we're going to strongly encourage every parent and guardian and young child to get their little ones vaccinated for COVID-19. And again, that is happening at our clinic at 134 Court Street. At the bottom of the screen, you see the scroll going on with the health department website to register for 2019 novel coronavirus and to make sure that you get that appointment. Again, this is an opportunity. It's free. And more importantly, we're going to continue to make more appointments available as we continue on. But keep in mind, this is a great opportunity during our summer times to be able to take our free buses, get over to 134 Court Street, and be able to take advantage of the COVID-19 vaccinations for our children 6 months to 5 years old. George, back to you.
Thank you very much, Ken. So we move from the COVID update in public health to the issue that we've heard a lot about recently, which is the outbreak of monkeypox that has affected those of us here in the United States. As of July 1st, there's a total of 96 confirmed monkeypox cases in the state of New York. Orthopox virus is, I guess, the more formal name for it. Of those 96 cases that have been identified in New York State, 87 of them are in the city of New York. The remaining 9 fall outside of the city of New York. 5 of those 9 are here in Westchester County. None of the Westchester County cases of identified monkeypox have been hospitalized, and all 5 cases of individuals are recovered or are recovering. So while when you hear the situation of yet another a disease, the concern is that it will somehow be as widespread as what we're dealing with COVID. And of course, the numbers have been quite different. 5 cases in Westchester County over the course of the last month. Monkeypox is a rare viral infection that does not usually cause serious illness. It can result in serious consequences, hospitalization, potentially death, under certain circumstances. So the health officials in New York State and the United States and around the world are monitoring the cases of monkeypox in areas that do not usually report such infections, which are here in New York State. New Yorkers shouldn't be alarmed, but we should be informed about it, know what the symptoms are, how it spreads, and what to do if you're exposed. It's very important to understand. Monkeypox is not transmitted in the same way that coronavirus is. Coronavirus can be an airborne infection, which you can give by being in some proximity to the virus of someone who carries it, whereas monkeypox is transmitted by close personal contact and, generally speaking, intimate contact. And in those situations, it is much less likely to be as communicable as we have seen with COVID. We are working right now, our county health department is working with the state health department on vaccine availability. When we have an announcement to make, we will make it about when vaccines could be available, where they might be disseminated. But it's a little premature at this point. There have been some vaccination distributions and made available in New York City. Since New York City is far and away the major location where the disease has evidenced itself, that has been the focus of the state health department's efforts. But the Westchester County Health Department is making an effort to do that as well. We'll report to you what's happening and how we intend to respond to that. Our county health department is experienced in dealing with lots of different outbreaks. We've dealt with hepatitis C outbreaks over the years and other similar types of diseases. But you should be aware that our health department professionals, our medical professionals, doctors, nurses, are monitoring this. They're staying close to the specifics and not to the hype around it. And we certainly will do whatever we can to make it possible for those people that consider themselves in vulnerable situations to monkeypox, that they'll be able to get a vaccine, reduce their likelihood of getting the disease. We're going to shift gears to something else. We've talked a little bit about crime in Westchester County, and I know we've shared with you specific statistics that came from the state of New York that represent what our status of crime is, both violent crime and property crime. I want to mention that coming out of the 4th of July weekend, we've seen some horrific stories, mass shootings in suburban Chicago. We've had some shootings in New York City in urban settings. Philadelphia, there was this crisis. In Westchester County, a county of 1 million people, with urban centers, as we have them in Westchester County, as well as suburban and rural settings, there were no shootings in Westchester County over the course of this long 3-4 day weekend, if you will. No shootings whatsoever. No fatalities, no shootings. And I think it's important to understand that, because when you turn on TV and you see that there are a number of incidents that may happen in and around the major cities of the United States, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago most recently, there is a tendency to see something as a trend that is happening everywhere. But we have not experienced that. And let me be clear, Westchester County may be a county, a suburban county of 1 million people, but we have the third largest city in the city of Yonkers within our borders. We also have 2 other top 10 cities in terms of population in New York State. Both the city of New Rochelle and the city of Mount Vernon are also by population within the top 10 cities of New York State. We know that Buffalo is the number 2 largest city, followed by Yonkers, number 3, Rochester, and so forth. But when you compare Yonkers to the other major 5 cities in New York State, there's no comparison. Yonkers is by far less subject to these types of violent situations. They occur, but they occur much, much less frequently here, and there's a much greater safety factor. And then for our other cities, which also includes White Plains, which is a top 15 city in New York State, we have an urban presence in Westchester County, and yet we've been able to find the right combination of things so that there were no shots fired anywhere in Westchester County in a crime setting over the course of this time. It should be noted that the Westchester County Department of Public Safety, our county police, met with local police departments well before this holiday weekend. They coordinated rapid response teams in the 3 zones that they have established throughout the county. They had joint teams with officers from various agencies working directly with Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, and New York State Police on proactive efforts to arrest any drivers of violence who had outstanding criminal charges pending. And we have the benefit of having our real-time crime program, which is available to us, which involves technology and coordinating technology information throughout all of the different departments, about 40 different local police departments working in cooperation with the county PD and with the state PD, and then, where appropriate, the federal police officers. But over the course of this weekend, not just what we give you statistically, we're comparing year-end 2017, 2021, crime is down 20%. This weekend, when you hear stories of what's happened in other parts of the country, understand in the county that you live in the whole county, from Yonkers to Yorktown, from Peekskill to Pelham, there were no shootings in Westchester County, and that's important to understand in terms of what the concerns are. Can violence happen? Yes. Can any type of violent action happen at any point in time? Yes. Are people killed? Are there murders in Westchester County? There are some. But it's important to understand that the percentage and the numbers of them have dropped dramatically over the last 4 years, and they continue to drop. And they don't drop because of who's in public office, per se. They drop because we have supported intelligent police work that have worked cooperatively between all the different levels of government. And that is what you're looking for. You're looking for public policy that makes you safe by making sure that the professionals are dealing with the incidents that are out there. And we hope that that'll continue throughout the course of this summer. Now, I want to switch gears again. I want to talk about what's happened in our park system. Westchester County is a regional local government, and we provide local services of all sorts. Some of those regional services are invisible. The fact that we treat your sewage at a sewage treatment plant, the fact that we take all of the recyclables that are picked up at your curb by most of the communities of Westchester County, then restructure them and repackage them through our material recovery facility, the fact that we have a county jail to incarcerate those that have to be incarcerated, the fact that we provide social services programs, distribution to those that are needy all across the county. For many people, those are invisible services, and those are significant services. Department of Social Services is our biggest part of county government. Corrections Department is the second biggest part of county government. Probation, which ties into corrections, is a large part of county government. These departments and what they do may be invisible to many of you. What's not invisible is our Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Department. The Parks Department runs 55 different facilities all across Westchester County. We have 6 public golf courses. We have 6 nature centers. We have 4 active public swimming pools. We have a 5th one that's undergoing reconstruction right now at play level. We have 4 open and operative pools right now. We have prominent trailways and bike paths. North County Trailway, South County Trailway, Bronx River Reservation. There's even a bicycle path alongside Playland Parkway for about a 1-mile run adjacent to that county-owned facility. We have places where you can ride a dirt bike or a mountain bike. We have places where you can go shooting. There's a host of different things. We have some places where you can go play basketball. There are kiddie parks. You can go at Kensico Dam Plaza and contemplate a sculpture that reminds you of what was lost on 9/11, and an adjacent wall that recognizes the names of the people that have died from 9/11 related illnesses. This park system is extensive. And this weekend, we were on display with what Westchester County government does for you, aside from paving the road that we've mentioned or rebuilding a ballpark, what we do in the operation of our parks every day. This Parks Department underwent 3 and 4 and 5 major activities this weekend. On Sunday night, which was the 3rd of July, at Kensico Dam Plaza, we had over 20,000 people in attendance for a terrific event. There was a DJ, we had local band FDR Drive playing, followed by fireworks at 9:15. Ken Jenkins, our Deputy County Executive, was there presiding. And it was a wonderful time. 20,000 people, the largest crowd we've ever had, was at Kensico Dam Plaza. There was not one incident at the plaza. It was well policed by our county police. We had tremendous cooperation from the Mount Pleasant Town Police. We had the assistance of the North Castle Town Police, which is fairly adjacent to that. And we also had help from lots of volunteers, all of whom were helping with a host of things. The parking and the surrounding areas emptied out within 45 minutes after the show. Imagine moving 20,000 people in the space of 45 minutes back to wherever they were heading. We had picnic areas filled all 4 days. You can picnic at Glen Island Park, where there's a beach, but there's also a big picnic area. Lots of other areas lend themselves to picnic. We've had tremendous turnout in our pools, at our beaches, and in our golfers. And when you compare this year to last year, it's pretty significant. Now, we did have rain last year on one of the days of the weekend, so the numbers are pretty interesting, I think. But this year, we had at Tibbetts Pool 9,000 visitors over the course of this weekend. In the prior period, there was a day of rain in here to reduce it, and we were a little closer to the heart of COVID a year ago. But we had 2,000 people at Tibbetts Pool last year. 9,000 this year to 2,000 last year. Saxon Woods Pool, 8,800, almost 9,000 at Saxon Woods, to 1,700 a year ago. Tremendous increase in demand for these pools. Spring Ridge pools, which were empty for 8 years, We reestablished them by the 2019 season. They were open and operative again. 6,000 people at Sprain Ridge Pool, this time 1,000 last year. And Wilson Woods, where we have lost the use of the wave pool for a period of time while there's some work being done to secure a pipe that broke underneath the wave pool. But we still have the spray ground, we still have the lazy river, there's still some water features there for kids to enjoy. We still had 2,000 visitors this year where we had 1,000 visitors a year ago. That is a tremendous demand and a tremendous response that we've been able to provide. We have two beaches within the control of Westchester County. We have Glen Island Beach in New Rochelle this year, 3,300 visitors to Glen Island. A year ago, 600 visitors over the course of the weekend. Croton Point Park Beach, 1,700 visitors compared to 900 visitors last year. All of those significant increases, and I think it represents the pent-up demand that we have to be outdoors, to be able to interact with each other. So between the pools and the beaches, overwhelming, greater response this year than before. Tremendous response at the Kensico Dam Plaza for fireworks. We did not have fireworks either in 2021 or in 2020. So this was a big opportunity. We have other programs coming up at Kensico Dam Plaza. We have some movies that will be shown and some other music performances that are coming up in the weeks ahead. A tremendous demand for Westchester County services. Our golf courses also showed continued growth, and we had pretty good numbers last year, but Dunwoody Golf Course, slightly better, 785 rounds of golf this year compared to 749 a year ago. Saxon Woods Golf Course jumped up 1,000 rounds plus 845 rounds last year. Sprain Lake, 911 this year to 826 last year. Maple Moor, 830 this year compared to 720 rounds last year. Mohansick, 838 compared to 769. And Hudson Hills Golf Course, 641 to 509. And these courses are spread around the county. Hudson Hills is in Ossining. Mohansick is in Yorktown. Maple Moor is in the south end of White Plains. Sprain Lake and Dunwoody are both in Yonkers. Saxon Woods is in Scarsdale on the border with Mamaroneck and White Plains. So there's a diversity of where we are all across our county. And I really want to congratulate Kathy O'Connor and her team, Peter Tartaglia and the rest of the team for the work that they did this weekend. They did yeoman's work because they had to run pools. They had to run beaches. They had to run golf courses. And then, in general, all of the different nature walks that we have at our 6 nature centers, all of them were open and had people there spending an afternoon walk, and our various bike paths. We've connected the Bronx River Parkway path a year ago in that Scarsdale-Hartsdale area, so now it's a continuous situation. And we're very proud that so much good work has been done. I'm going to jump ahead to give Ken an opportunity to cover with us one of the next issues that we have here. Make sure I've got the information in front of us, which is recognition of what our Department of Corrections has done. Now, you may know, we've mentioned this before, I had the pleasure of serving as the chairman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators earlier in my career from 1998 to 2001. Ken had that same privilege roughly 10 years later, and some of the experiences that he had during his county years running the County Board of Legislators have become priorities for us to address now in this administrative context, and one of them is our correctional institutions. So, Ken, I want to make sure you cover that with us.
Thanks, George. Certainly, the Westchester County Department of Correction was awarded for the National Reaccreditation for Quality Healthcare Services. Now, as County Executive Latimer was just explaining, it was a tremendous, tremendous lift over the years to make sure that we were able to deal with the healthcare quality at the correctional facility. We certainly had some things that we were dealing with the Department of Justice and making sure to get through that particular process. And having that national accreditation for the quality healthcare services is extremely important. This particular reaccreditation was by demonstrating the compliance with the National Association's recognized standard for care for correctional healthcare services in jails. That accreditation recognizes the Department of Corrections' continued commitment to providing quality healthcare services for their incarcerated population. To earn this accreditation, the DOC, the Department of Correction, undergoes a rigorous professional assessment that happened in May of 2022. And during that assessment, a team of experienced physicians and experts in correctional health care surveyed the facility for compliance with jail-specific standards in several areas, such as patient care, treatment, health promotion, safety and disease prevention, governance and administration, personnel and training, special needs and services, and medical legal issues. of the 38 applicable essential standards from this healthcare corporation, right, the Westchester Department of Corrections was found to be 100% compliant. Again, 100% compliance for those folks and our professionals led by Commissioner Joe Spano and his entire team doing a fantastic job of trying to deal with the people that are in the facility and making sure that they get the services necessary to be able to come out and to be productive in the society. And that's something else they're extremely proud of all the work that they do there. I want to personally commend WellPath Healthcare staff, the custodial staff, and the Department of Corrections leadership team for their hard work and dedication on behalf of those incarcerated individuals that are under our care, and that's important. The Department of Correction maintains the unique distinction of being the only large jail in the state of New York to be duly accredited through the National Commission on Correctional Healthcare and the American Correctional Association. They've also achieved the status in the Prison Rape Elimination, PREA, compliance, exceeding all Department of Justice federal standards. Again, this was one of the things when the Latimer administration, County Executive Latimer, and our team came into to being here in 2018 that we had to address. First, getting in compliance with the Department of Justice, and then continuing to work on making sure that quality health care was being provided in the correctional facility and going through a rigorous analysis before we re-awarded that contract after much work was done. These accreditations are a credit to, again, the Department of Corrections and the professionals at WellPath, and we salute them. Thanks a lot, George.
Thanks, Ken. We'll mention a few more things before we break for this afternoon as we try to cover as much ground as we can. We have coming up our next in a series of airport forums on the horizon, which is preparation for the master plan that we're in the process of creating. We've had 3 public forums so far stretching back over the last 6 weeks. We've had one at Pace Law School in White Plains, one at Manhattanville College in Purchase, and then one at Mercy College in Dobbs Ferry. The next one that we're doing is tomorrow, Wednesday, July 6th at 6 p.m., and this one is going to be done online. It's going to be done virtually. We know that for some people, going out into a public setting is not what they would prefer to do, so we have a virtual option, and myself, Ken, Joan McDonald, John Nona will be sitting here in this room, and we'll be linked to you via the internet, and you can register to attend and you can register to speak if you'd like. There is a link, I believe it'll be shown at the bottom of our page there for you. It's a HTTPS indicator, and you can find that information online, or you can call us at 995-2932. We'll give you the information. If you'd like to speak during the meeting, you'll check the box on the registration form that you'll see. And if you sign up to speak, we will call on everybody who wishes to be heard. We are limiting everybody to speak to 3 minutes as we have in the in-person speaking. We do not limit you if you've spoken at a prior forum. You're welcome to speak yet again, and you're certainly welcome to submit written testimony to us at any point in time. We want you to focus on the issues that are before us in terms of the development of the master plan, which is the terminal circumstances and capacities, what we do in terms of dealing with environmental impacts at the airport, protecting the drinking water, making sure that the drainage of storm water and de-icing fluid is properly handled, what we do in terms of dealing with fixed-based operators, general aviation, light general aviation, the small airlines, parking. All of those issues are part of the master plan that we have some involvement in. We do not control the skies above us, so the FAA is responsible for doing the landing routes and the takeoff routes. However, any commentary on that area is worthwhile. We'll listen to it, and we're happy to include as many people as we want in this process. We are not done with taking testimony in person, but we thought after doing some in person, we would do the virtual format to try to open the door. If you'd like to submit those comments in writing, you can reach us at communications@westchestergov.com. Communications@westchestergov.com, and that will help get some of the information for what's coming up tomorrow night when we will be here. I want to remind you that we understand, I think everybody else understands in the nation, that we're facing a very difficult inflationary time. And there's a lot of concerns about how did this happen and why did it happen. As a county government, our mission is to try to figure out how to make it easier for you to afford the things that we have any control over. We do not control baby food formula in Westchester County. We cannot control to any great extent, the price of gas at the pump. We've made a decision to freeze some of our sales tax, but what's obvious is that those are pennies on the dollar, and the basic price at the pump is being established by the major oil companies, to some degree based on the crude price and the refinery prices, and to some basis beyond the control of local governments, but perhaps within the control of the federal government. Be that as it may, what do we have control over? Well, you know already, we've made quite a point of noting that we have cut property taxes, county portion of your property taxes, the last 3 years. County property taxes may be 20-25% of your bill, depending on where you live. It's not the dominant portion of your property taxes. Generally speaking, the school taxes are. We generally are a little higher than the local municipal taxes, but we've cut those over the last 3 years. But that's already been baked into the cake. We've announced that over the last 6 months. We did announce over a month ago that we were suspending fares on the Beeline bus system. We are now in July in the second month of free bus service. You have all of July, all of August, and the first week of September still ahead of you to enjoy the Beeline bus system, and we will report in a couple of weeks that ridership is up. We know it's up right now. We want to see what it looks like over the course of the summer, and that is a step made for those people that use the Beeline bus system and now have an ability to save money by doing that. We also announced last week a number of other different activities. So starting today at Glen Island Beach, and at our 4 pools that are open and operative, we have waived all entry fees to go onto the beach or into the 4 pools. That does not affect the parking costs. You still have to pay for parking, but you don't have to pay a fee to go on the Glen Island Beach. That's Monday through Thursday. And also the 4 pools, that I mentioned the names again, I'll repeat them: Saxon Woods in White Plains, Wilson Woods in Mount Vernon, and 2 located in the city of Yonkers, Sprain Ridge, and Tibbetts Brook pools. All of those pools and the Glen Island Beach, Monday through Thursday, no fee for entry. So your mom, you're home with the kids, or your dad, you're home with the kids, and you want to take them to the pool, you can get on a Beeline bus for free, arrive at the pool, and get in for free to help save you some money. Now, the Croton Point Park Beach is not open on Mondays through Thursdays. It's open over Friday through the weekend. It has much less attendance situations, so obviously it doesn't apply where the beach isn't open, so I just mentioned that. We have also made the point of investing an additional $700,000 for Feeding Westchester to amplify the original commitment that we made, I believe it was $2 million, for feeding people through the various food pantries, and the food pantries are everywhere. Ridgeway Alliance Church in White Plains has a Tuesday afternoon food pantry. The Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force, with a storefront on Mamaroneck Avenue next to Barry Avenue, has a feeding program today. Hope Community Services in New Rochelle, every weekday of the week at 5 o'clock, distributes food. And by us providing an additional $700,000, that's going to feed that many more additional Westchester residents who are having difficulty. You're seeing maybe an 18% increase in food costs. If you can get some or all of your food through the food pantry structure, that could be as much of a savings as $60 for a family in a weekly context, and could add up to $240 a month. So that is a possibility for those of you that feel that that is going to be helpful to you. We've established free commuter parking at 2 Metro North train stations where the county owns a portion of the parking. At North White Plains on the Harlem Line and at White Plains on the Harlem Line, we have respective parking lots that are used by commuters to park there to get on the train to go into the city. North White Plains and White Plains. The North White Plains lot and the White Plains area, which is the lot right in front of the county center, are both to the west of the rail line and the Bronx River Parkway. In fact, they're part of the Bronx River Reservation. That's why the county owns those 2 facilities. It does not cost you anything to park in those 2 parking lots for this month, July, and also for the month of August. So if you pay a parking fee of $150 a month someplace to park your car, you can do it for free commuting out of North White Plains and out of White Plains. And both of those 2 lots draw from the city of White Plains, from the town of Greenburgh, and then some people from a distance. The Bronx River Parkway and the Taconic Parkway connection is right off of those two locations. You can very easily decide, instead of paying money at a different train station, let me drive down. There's a little extra drive. I'm on the same train going into the city at North White or at White that you would normally be on, and you can save money as a commuter. That's a very different group of savings from people that are going to the food pantries or the people that are taking their kids to the pool for free or riding the Beeline bus for free. Also, we have a proposal, and we're going to work through this, and we'll announce some more formal discussions with the chair of the Board of Legislators, Catherine Borgia, about looking at the suspension of sales tax on residential energy over the course of the quarter that would begin in December through the end of February. Now, we can opt into the state allowable program, but we have to give the state a month's notice before a quarter begins. We can't do it whenever we feel like it. The next quarter would begin in September. We'd have to notify them by the end of July, beginning of August. But our home energy costs are relatively low in the fall compared to what they are in the heart of the winter. So we're discussing now with the Board of Legislators as to applying to do this beginning for the quarter December 1st, so that for the months of December, January, and February, you would save by not having county sales tax, which is about half of the amount of sales tax bill. To put into terms, if it costs you $1,000 a month, for your energy costs, you might have more than that, you might have less than that, depending on how large your living area is. You would pay, in round numbers, about $80 in sales tax on the $1,000 amount. This would cut that in half by $40. And if you have to do at least once a month that kind of money, that saves you $120. And they save $120 here, 2 nights at 2 months at $150 here, whatever your bus fare is here. And those are the things we can do. And that's what everybody should be doing to try to get us through this inflationary time. We hope that federal policies will ease the pressure. It's a complicated process to deal with the economy. It moves in its own way without government necessarily having a decisive role. But as I often say, we're not the state and we're not the federal government. We're the county government. But we will do everything we can to try to help ameliorate the problems. We recognize there's a problem and we don't want to ignore it. We're also waiving the fees for civil service exams through December 31st. So if you're competing for a civil service job, you believe that you have an opportunity and you're looking for employment and you want to compete for one of the jobs that are available through civil service, by the way, not just for Westchester County government, but for any government in Westchester, all across the municipals and so forth, you can now sit for those civil service exams without paying any fee. The county usually gets half of the fee. We're rescinding that, and we are, on your behalf, paying for the half of that fee that would go to the state. The state still demands their half, so we are going to reimburse the state the half that you would be paying for to give you a chance to look for new employment at no cost at all. We think those are intelligent, pragmatic things. They are not the only things that we could do. We're looking at other measures. But I think the way to summarize this, and we'll summarize this in the report, overall, what have we talked about in this report? We've talked about how we make a continued commitment to improve the infrastructure of Westchester County, and we gave you 2 major examples, the Memorial Field commitment and the repaving of Mamaroneck Avenue. We spoke specifically about the drop in crime, not just the general rate drop, but the fact that we went through a very difficult weekend where there were shootings in other parts of the country, and we had a safe weekend here in Westchester County. No shootings, no fatalities in Westchester County. We talked about how we're using the county park system to help provide recreation for people at very high numbers in golf, at pools, at beaches, and then also for a major event at Kensico Park. We've talked about how our correctional facility has bounced back and become now a model through the hard work of the leadership of that institution, now getting proper recognition for that. We've talked about how we've gone about trying to deal with the increase in inflation and how we respond to those different things as we go forward. We've talked about how we continue to deal with the COVID outbreak, with vaccinations and efforts, and then also that we're dealing intelligently with the monkeypox. That's public health. That's public recreation. That is major transportation-oriented capital projects. That's dealing with your economic impact from county government. Each of these different public policy areas we have responsibility for as a regional local government. And this report summarizes those things to basically say we recognize the moment that we're in. We're very fortunate here in this country, and I think we've just gone through that process over this weekend, to be appreciative of the great freedoms that we have. And those freedoms give us the ability to do whatever we want. And we have free speech, and free speech, many times, we use that free speech to point out what we're unhappy with, not necessarily what we're happy with. But I had the chance to think about that as I went to an event yesterday. Ken went to events all weekend, as did I. And you begin to realize that Americans can come and go as we please. We're not put under the thumb of a tyrant. And that is what we're celebrating, that was lifted all those years ago. And we're not a perfect country. We're not celebrating our perfection because no one or no entity is perfect. But we are pointing out that this government is committed to making lives better, to improve them in an honest, straightforward way. And that is what you deserve because, as was put into that declaration 246 years ago, rights that are given to you by your Creator, not by government, for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our job is to try to help you achieve those different things. So we'll turn to see if we have any questions from the press. Lisa Reyes, who is directing all of our actions here today in the press conference, shakes her head no. There are no questions from the press. So we thank you for watching. We want to extend happy birthday wishes to Nita Lowey, our long-term congresswoman who served 32 years in the United States Congress. She's celebrating her birthday today. We won't mention how old she is, 39. You mentioned about 39, people get a little touchy about it, but she's a wonderful friend and she was a wonderful representative for us, and we wish her a very happy birthday today. And we wish all of you a very productive week and a good summer ahead. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, with Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, and we'll see you next Monday for the next one of these updates. Take care, be safe.